right, cool. Hey, Soumaya.
Hey.
So, just gonna recap what I was just telling you. I guess for everyone within our parenting group, um, just the main focus is just going to be on, I guess, really, since it's just going to be in our parenting group, let's just talk about how uh, things were for you before, how things have changed, and also, obviously, we're going to hit on emotional stability and um, I don't know. I guess you're doing something a little bit different than what most people are doing. Actually, a lot of people in our parenting group are doing something completely different than what most people are doing. They're either a stay-at-home parent or they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners or homeschooling. But all of everybody who's in our parenting group is using a tool, TechnoTutor, using TechnoTutor to basically uh, take their education of their children into their own hands and give them the best education ever. Um, I guess tell us, I guess, a little bit about how did you find out about what we're doing and what made you decide to take this out, and then also how old your children are.
Okay. So I have a 1-year-old. He was born in June 2020. Now we're in October 2021.
Nice.
And I have only one kid, and I've known Self-Perfected through a friend of mine. So we were both doing a training called Thinking into Results. And then we were working like as peers to like working on ourselves to hold each other accountable, etc. It's like a small mastermind. And when I spoke to him about my goals and my purpose in education, to change education, starting by Morocco and France, and then like just as a first goal, but my purpose is to change education in the world. And he told me, yeah, so you might find benefit in talking to this group. And he told me about Self-Perfected.
Oh wow.
Uh,
That's pretty cool. That's really cool, actually. I didn't know that. So then you came into Self-Perfected, and then what happened?
yeah, I've been just watching videos in the beginning, and I had a lot of resistance to some to some of the content, especially about emotions and feeling good now. Because during that Thinking into Results training, I was mainly focused on just getting rid of that nagging voice inside of my head. That was like a first big step because I was pretty much not moving forward,
Mm,
almost doing nothing,
yeah,
and still having that like shitty voices,
yeah,
like ruining my well-being during the day. A
got
lot
it.
of guilt, blame, etc., stress, anxiety, inferiority problem.
Yeah,
So the training helped me a lot with that. But then I was like wondering, where did I move since I have started it?
yeah,
And I found that I didn't move that forward as I was thinking. I just moved forward in terms of how I feel during the day. But now I have to like to take some decisions and do some actions I was like afraid to confront, and have some conversation I was afraid to have at work,
yeah,
with family, like
yeah.
all of it.
Okay. So let me ask you about that, because that is a big concern for a lot of people. The first thing they come in and they're thinking, I'm supposed to feel good because, if I'm feeling bad, I don't do anything. And I've tried, uh, I changed some things about the way that I feel, and I feel good now. And so please don't take that away from me, because it sounds like what we're saying is like, don't feel good now,
Yeah.
so okay, explain for me, if you could, um how you felt then versus how you feel now. Like, do you feel the same? Do you feel better? Do you feel any different? Explain from your perspective.
I feel like I have taken the feel good now thing from just my mind and thoughts and emotions to the physical reality. I'm like more engaged like physically by taking action into feeling like I feel good now, not only by like having some thoughts or affirmations or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
thinking about good stuff
right.
and avoiding negative stuff. I feel good because I take some actions that change my life and change my like, it impacts my life and the life of the ones around me, and it changes things physically, not only in my head or my perception of how things are.
Yes, awesome. That's so cool because like what I've noticed for myself and for so many other people, it's as if when you're just focused on feeling good in your mind, like that's the first priority, it becomes this artificial thing where you feel good inside, but like your life isn't any different. You're not doing anything really. You don't really feel fulfilled. You're just like forcing yourself to have to feel good, and then when you take on what we're doing, then it's like you're getting the work done first, and as a result you feel really great, or in the process as well you feel better as well. I think,
Yeah.
um okay, that's cool. So you had resistance to that, and you said you overcame it by looking at where your life was at, and then realizing you're going to have to face and confront some of those things that uh maybe you didn't want to really face and confront, right?
Yeah.
Okay. um and so then when you had as your purpose educating the world before meeting us, which is awesome, love that purpose because it's in sync with a lot of what we're saying, right? um were you thinking that you were going to get TechnoTutor just for yourself, or were you also looking at for your baby as well?
I was thinking of getting it for myself first, but I was kind of skeptical on what kind of impact it would have on like specifically on the emotional stability or using it for a specific goal. I was more convinced it will be beneficial for kids to learn vocabulary or to like, to facilitate learning stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and like what I think the fact that I have a kid, I've heard in one of the videos, like if you have kids, you need to get TechnoTutor definitely, and that helped me move forward quicker. I think
Okay.
I would have taken more time if I didn't have a kid.
Okay. Very cool.
I wanted to homeschool my kid before knowing Self-Perfected as well. This was something we discussed a lot, my husband and I.
Yeah.
But we were kind of planning to get some tutors, private tutors for our kid in a group of 5 other kids
Yeah.
to have the sociable side of it
Yeah.
and let them have activities and also to choose what we want to to teach him.
Right.
And also like there was this came up also from seeing some of our family members having to pay a lot of money just to have proper education, especially in Morocco, because the public schools are not very good. The private schools are like most of them just give high marks in order to like, for parents to be satisfied and stuff like that.
Okay. Oh wow. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Because I was going to ask, why were you already considering homeschooling? But it sounds like uh, it's very clear over there that the public education system does not work. And even if you're paying for private school, it's just uh, kind of pleasing the parents, but not really getting the right education.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And usually like uh, we have the idea that people there are spoiled because they have more money, and so usually they might be like taking drugs or I don't know, doing whatever they could do that is not best with their money.
Yeah.
And so surrounding our kid with that kind of people is not best. But for me, it was also the point of like the education thing. I was like trying to invent a new kind of school or something like that, because during my whole education,
Yeah.
I was feeling that this is I don't want to say a bad word here
No, go
because
ahead. Go ahead.
this is
This is bullshit.
because we were learning stuff that would not, like, when I ask why are we learning this, I get angry reactions from the professors or teachers, and I forget all of that information after taking the exams, and I don't know how to use that information and why we're studying it and why we're studying it that way,
Yeah.
why we're not doing enough like experience or practical side of what we're learning.
Yeah.
Why don't we get to choose what to learn? And why do they impose us with so many bullshit ideas?
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Okay. So I guess when you started with getting TechnoTutor and using it for yourself, what did you see start to change, I guess, for yourself?
When I got TechnoTutor, I was doing a part-time PhD, and I was assuming that that is the way to change education. I will do a PhD and become a professor, and then I will gain impact and relationships in the area where I will work, and then I will get to change the courses, what the people are the students are learning in that university, for example, and then I will take that on, like, to have a bigger impact nationwide or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, and before having TechnoTutor, it was really hard for me to realize that that's not that won't make me able to achieve that at all.
Yeah.
It was super hard for me to realize that, and I was holding on to that PhD. And like after having TechnoTutor, I started using it specifically for those situations. Like
What situations?
I had some, like, my supervisor was not very supportive. He was
Okay.
kind of, and every now and then he would come in and like send an email threatening me, and he does that with all of his students, threatening us. Oh, why aren't you producing any papers? This will get you in a trouble, or you won't be allowed to finish your PhD, blah, blah, blah. You need to produce papers.
Oh,
But
wow.
then we don't get the discussion about our subject or how to achieve that, how to write that paper. We just discuss about, you should produce papers as soon as possible and publish them.
Yeah. That's so good, because I was just watching, someone was talking about, it was a Veritasium video, and I actually didn't even watch a lot of the video. I just clicked on it and I was reading through the comments, and he was talking about how a lot of the research that we look at today is just like, it doesn't even matter, because it could be anything, the way that they manipulate data and everything. But he says the reason why they do it is not for some nefarious reason, not because they're evil, but because they have such pressure to publish and produce constantly and constantly that they don't have time to really look at the data that they're collecting and really go, oh, this doesn't make sense, or, oh, we should fix this or that. It's just like, just make it seem as cool as possible so it gets published, and then we can continue on with either our PhD program or as a professor or whatever it is, because they can say, I've been published this many times or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. In this like type A conference, or this conference that is very well ranked, and I got
Yes.
to speak on that on stage, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, another thing that I was thinking of when you were talking about um, wanting to homeschool and really taking into your own hands your child's education. I was thinking this morning because I was talking yesterday about why you're the only one who's qualified to teach your children, right? And I was thinking about it like this. You know, if you have a car, would you let just anyone drive your car? You know, even if you know they have a driver's license, even if you know they went to driving school, all of that, like you don't just let anyone drive your car. It's silly, right? Like everyone's very protective of like something like that. Like, no, 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 I'm gonna drive. But you wouldn't just go to work, right? Drive your car to work and then hand the keys to somebody and say, okay, now you drive it around while I'm here at work, right? Like we think of that so clearly, but then when it comes to like our kids, especially here in America, people just go, well, I'm gonna go to work and then hand them off to somebody else, and I'll let them drive it around for, you know, the next 18 years or 12 years, whatever it is, um, until then they're an adult and then I get them back, right? That's how we do it in America. It's really silly. But I'm thinking just like a car is a very clear example. For me, I'm also very protective of my cooking utensils. Like I don't want anyone, just anyone touching my cooking utensils. Like, no, 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 you don't touch my knife. You're gonna ruin it. You're gonna ruin my knife. You know, like uh, it's that's the way that I see education now. I didn't start off originally seeing education like that. You know,
Yeah.
originally I was like kind of like, well, you know, school is what you have. That's all that's available, you know. Um, and so just hearing you talk about being very deliberate with your education, that really lines up with how I see education now as well. And I'm wondering, is that part of a result of um, you using TechnoTutor? Because you were saying you were using it with those situations with like your professor for when you were getting your PhD.
Yeah.
How do you mean you were using it in those situations?
I was using it to process, to understand how I feel. For example, to process guilt and anxiety and fear. And I had like intestinal flare-ups literally every time that I interact with him through email when he threatens me.
Mm.
So that was impacting even my physical body.
Okay, so that was like causing you like stress that was also causing like an illness within you.
Yeah, yeah. I could like stay for 1 week or so, feel very tired and have digestive issues and like feel completely depleted and powerless.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And so go
Each
ahead,
time
continue.
before having TechnoTutor, I was saying, oh, maybe it's the wrong supervisor. Oh, maybe it's the wrong paper idea. Maybe I should change the topic. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. But I didn't have the realization or neither the courage to process those emotions and to see that decision, that like to even recognize that I was still doing the PhD for my father, even if I thought I have got rid of all of that, like I have to get good marks for my parents, etc. I thought I was free from that, but
Yeah.
then I found that it's still there. I'm still thinking that if I get a PhD, then my father will think I'm smart and therefore he will love me more.
Wow. 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 Okay, that's great. So I'm just now realizing you were doing personal development before. For how
Yeah.
long before?
Since I was a teenager, Uh, how long is that? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. You look very young to me. Maybe just a couple years.
So I was 11 years old, which is like 2004. It was like the first time when I bought a personal development book.
Okay. So
Was
2004.
Habits of Highly Effective Teens.
Oh, nice. Nice. I think I had that book. Um, even though I was I don't know how old I was 12 in 2004. Okay, so now it is 2021, right? Yeah. Okay, so you've been doing personal development for a while, and um, I guess what was different in your personal development journey or process before and now in this last since 2020, I guess.
Since I joined Self-Perfected,
Yeah.
um, taking action primarily, self-honesty, self-forgiveness, um, like more doing and less avoiding stuff.
Yeah.
More focused towards what I'm doing and my attitude rather than how I feel, or do I feel like doing this or feel good now.
Yeah. Man, that's such a huge point, taking action. Um, and you've been talking about emotional stability, your own emotional stability. Has that, can you give us an example of how that has changed?
Mm. I have like at first I haven't noticed that change. People have been telling me, um, and for example, Asif, who is supporting me one on one, he was telling me, "Wow, you're becoming really stable." I don't know if you see that, but like I was realizing this through conversations I was having, like fears I was having before, and telling people about it or writing about it. Like I had fear around like small stuff that looks so irrelevant for me now.
Yeah.
And those emotional reactions, for example, with my ex supervisor, like in the last email he sent me, he said, I seriously think that we should stop this PhD, and you're doing blah blah blah, and you're doing nothing, and the others are doing this. Why aren't you doing that? Blah 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 blah. But I felt really stable within reading that, and I answered, yeah, I really seriously think that I should stop doing the PhD now because it doesn't serve my purpose of changing education, and I don't see the link anymore. And blah 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 blah. And then he suggested some research like labs where they study educational sciences and cognition and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it ended in a way that I was not expecting, because even those small conversations were bringing a lot of emotional reactions within me.
Yeah.
But it ended just like this. It was kind of an evidence for me that we should end this.
Yeah.
And also it impacted a lot my interactions at work, and I have been able to negotiate a lot of stuff that I was delaying, like changing my contract to be an independent contractor, which made me earn like double my salary.
Oh, wow.
Because there were a lot of like fees that you pay to the French government just to be an employee, and like retirement
Yeah.
contributions and social contributions, blah blah blah. But all of that I get to do whatever I want with it right now. So it doubled my salary.
That's cool.
And I also like negotiated to get my contributions back, some of my social contributions back,
Okay.
which is 2/3 of my previous salary as well on top of that.
Wow. You are just making way more money. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, has uh has your family life changed at all?
What did you say?
Has your family life changed at all?
My family life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, at first, I would say it changed a lot the way I interact with my kid, because previously I know that like there are a lot of I've done a training on positive discipline, which is based on Jane Nelson, I think,
Yeah.
Jane Nelson's theories, and a lot of it was in my mind, but in my conscious mind, but was hard to do in like in practically. So within my part-time job and like part-time PhD that I have quit, I had a housekeeper that was taking care of him and taking care of house chores during the day, and I was never imagining that I could deal with that if I stopped. Like I had a resistance to stop that job and that PhD,
Hmm.
because then I would be not excused to have a housekeeper or to have a nanny to help me out.
uh okay, so then you'd have to take more responsibility at home.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And a
Okay.
lot of stuff came up along something like you'll be just a stay-at-home mom, just a stay-at-home mom, and you have nothing to do, so we'll give you all of our to-do lists to
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what you need to do.
Was somebody telling you that, or is that something that you felt was going to happen?
Um, it comes from my family, my parents, the
Yeah.
way I saw my mother taking on a lot of our stuff that we had to do, or helping my father with a lot of stuff because he was busy with his work,
Yeah.
and she's just a stay-at-home mom. So she had like he was telling her that at some point, like, why for example, why are you tired? What were you doing? Or why
Yeah.
didn't you have time for this?
Yeah.
And then you'll get angry, something like that. So I have carried that within me.
Yeah. That's funny. I saw like a little meme, and it was the father comes home and the stay-at-home mom with the three kids, and he's like, why is dinner not ready? Where is my shirt? I thought I told you to lay it out. How come you get to stay at home with the kids and just do nothing, and I'm doing all this work? Like, what are you doing? You're just wasting time. And then it says, and then he died later that day. So but it's a great point to bring up, because I mean, I've talked to a few stay-at-home moms, and I've seen a few stay-at-home moms in their home, and they do a lot. They do a lot. They do a lot. Not just um, keeping the house tidy, but also being there with a child is a lot. And especially if you're directing their education, it's even more responsibility. I remember, I thought I had a lot of energy, because I would go and travel with uh, schools. I would travel with schools, and we would go from one place to another, one city to another city. And I would spend, I don't know, maybe 12, 14 hours a day very easily, sometimes 16 hours a day or more on my feet, walking around with these students and keeping them entertained, right?
Mm.
But it's very different when you sit one-on-one with a child, because I remember then uh spending like, I don't know, maybe an hour or 2 hours with a 7-year-old playing Legos, and I was exhausted. Like, because I I had to actually interact with this one child, this one student, and he's calling for my attention, and he's saying, okay, now we're gonna do this. And I'm like, I can't, I can't, I don't have the energy to keep going. And like, I was literally falling asleep as we're talking. And so it's a very different dynamic, you know. um and so I understand what you're saying as far as that fear of uh, being labeled as just a stay-at-home mom, because the way that maybe our society treats it is just that, oh, you just do that. We don't put a lot of value as a
I
society on it,
yeah,
right?
exactly. I would feel like I'm stupid, not like unworthy or not valued,
Yeah,
not respected.
yeah,
Um, and I don't have the right to manage my time as I want to, because everybody assumes that I have like all the like I have plenty of time
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
whatever they want me to do.
yeah. Oh, and then like if you're not really good with your own standing up for yourself, having clear boundaries of like not letting people just walk all over you, then
Yeah.
that's a big deal, because then it's like I have no excuse. There's nothing I can tell them to tell them
Yeah.
no, because it would have to come from you, right?
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess what have you seen with your relationship with your son? You're starting to tell us a little bit about that. Could you tell us more?
Yeah. So when I started using TechnoTutor and like being more self-honest with myself around take my ability to take care of my kid and the home, I was feeling like it's hard even on the weekends, even 1 day per week, to stay by myself with him and, for example, do house chores, etc. I was feeling like I really don't want to do that. I just want someone to do it instead of me, or like whenever I need a break, I need to find someone ready to take care of my kid or to do the house chores for me. I
Mm,
always wanted to have that insurance.
yeah, yeah. Do you still feel that way?
No. Right now I'm alone in, like, I'm only with my husband and my kid, and we're in France. Like, we've been here for about a month, and I've been doing this, like, taking care of the home really well, like better than any time in my life, and taking care of my kid and working a little bit, and in it, like, I enjoy my time right now doing this.
Yeah, that's
I don't
awesome.
feel like I should take a break, or maybe it happens once a week where I want to take a bath or something like that, and I tell my husband to take care of our baby
Yeah,
1 hour or so.
yeah,
But it doesn't have, like, I don't have that thought every day, or where I feel like, oh, this stresses me out. I'm not your slave.
yeah,
Why am I doing all of this? Blah 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 blah. Like, now I feel capable of doing all of that.
yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's a really cool point that you hit on, because you're a well, obviously you're very intelligent, right? Because uh, you're able to go to school, able to be in a PhD program, right? You have your own employment where you're making money, right? You have um, all these points of uh, how do I want to say it? Like, where today in our society, it's very valued uh, that women are able to be independent, to make their own things, and do as much as they possibly can, right? Um, and then the flip side of that is then they feel like a slave at home, right? Would you rather be away from your child?
No,
Right.
because like, that was very clear for me since my teenager years, because my mom was telling me always the importance of being next to your kids.
Hmm.
And she was comparing, because she was raised in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So she was having some friends come over, and they were saying, oh, it's so good to have like warm bread at home, and your mom is here whenever you come, and you eat warm food instead of sandwiches
Yeah.
or leftovers.
Yeah.
So she was really, like, it made her realize how good it is to have her mom at home and have warm meals, like real meals. And have her mother's care at home.
Yeah.
She was always telling me about that. And I used to say, oh, I want to finish my studies and become a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
But then I was like in my teenager years when I first thought of like education, changing education. I've realized that in one of our trips to the village of our origins, it's in the countryside in the south of Morocco, and I had a cousin there who stopped going to school after a certain age because the high school is too far,
Mm.
and she has to walk a long way there, and it's dangerous for girls, etc.
Yeah.
So she stopped going, and I was feeling like, oh, since I have this opportunity, I should finish my studies
Mm.
and I should do something for these people.
Yeah.
So within that, I have considered, so okay, how can I be available for my kids and my family and still work to be able to make money and to have an impact on
Yeah.
the world.
Okay. Okay.
I was asking people which job would allow me to have like my home just next to the office and go there and cook and take care of my kids and then go back to work or work
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And then like a man from our family told me, oh, the future is in computer science. Everything will be around computer science. And you can work with a team in Asia, a team in the United States, just
Yeah.
from home.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Is that real? And then like my current job is with a company in Singapore, and
Mm.
I'm based in France, and they have headquarters in Dubai and in the US, and we're an international team. So that
Wow.
was great.
Wow. So
I got to travel there to Singapore and to the United States as well.
that's cool. That's cool.
So
So you ended up going into computer science then?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and I work from home, and I meet my team like I was meeting them every 3 months, but with the COVID situation, I have not gone there.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing because I was pregnant and I needed time to
Yeah. 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 So that
focus
worked
on.
out.
Yeah.
So, okay, then I want to ask about this.
Yeah.
What do you think would be different in your life, or how would your life be different if you didn't join Self-Perfected?
Mm. I might have continued lying to myself about the PhD, like making way smaller steps and staying into my comfort zone
Mm.
instead of real like uncovering layers and being honest with myself within what I do. Like my goal was previously to write a paper, and publish it in a Class A conference.
Yeah.
This was my goal before joining Self-Perfected.
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because that's like that's stupid.
Well, why do you say that?
Because I was assuming that I was lying to myself on how that will help me achieve my purpose. It
Mm.
makes no sense to like have a PhD in cybersecurity and become a professor. And how would I change education with that?
Well, how are you thinking about changing education now?
I'm already clear on what good education looks like, what's
What,
real education,
what's that?
like about homeschooling, for example. I was thinking it's very hard. Like if I would love to do it, but I'm not sure. So we might get some tutors and get our kid in a group of people, and then they will like I would still delegate it to someone else.
Mhm.
just be a better person, or we will get to choose what to teach him specifically.
Mhm.
But after many months of like, after these changes, I feel like I can have the emotional stability to teach my kid and to educate him.
Yeah. Wait, you're doing it now, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I have started the letters since June. And by the way, like 2 weeks after starting that, he started like saying completely new words. We didn't make a specific effort to tell him. Like he was calling me my name, Maya.
Oh, wow. That's
And
cool.
one day we were going out, and I put on my headscarf, and then he came next to me like this, and he said, "But, but is shoes in
Oh,
Arabic." And I thought it was a coincidence, and I told him, "Oh, where is my butt?"
yeah.
And then he went and he took my slippers and he gave me he gave it to me.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's so cool. Because that's like, I remember watching Max and Seneca, and um, just hearing and seeing other kids as well, when they would just start with the letters, then they started also somewhere else, their speech improved, or the words that they would use, or their vocabulary in some sense would like change and
Yeah.
grow, and the things that they would do were like, oh, you can do that too. um but it's funny because you made that, you saw like, oh, we just started with the letters and now you're saying these words. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like he started repeating, like now he repeats stuff very easily. At that point he was just I think 11 months old.
Hmm.
And like from that time to now, I noticed that he grabs words really quickly, and he's able to repeat them after, like I say it 3 times and he tries to repeat it,
Yeah.
and he corrects it every time, and he quickly like knows how to pronounce something that we say.
Wow.
Like
Oh.
now like after a week we spent in France, he started saying some French words like oui, fin. I don't, and we don't even speak French. It's just from the time that he spends like in the playground from time to
Yeah.
time, or like it's
Wow. That's that natural learning ability at work, huh?
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay. So you see uh how you can take on the responsibility of education now. And
Yeah.
so going back to answering that question of, okay, so now you can, how are you going to impact education as a whole? I kind of know the answer. That's why I'm asking.
Through empowering myself to walk this process fully, like by continuing to uncover layers and um, be even more patient with my kid, and knowing how to educate him specifically, like after the letters, etc. And like also supporting my husband to see that, because there's still the fear of, oh, he should probably get a degree or a diploma to be able to work, just in case.
Hmm.
um, so I gotta figure out like how I will be able to support my kid to know how to make money without having a degree. Completely different
Yeah.
way of earning money,
Yeah.
uh, without starting by a job.
Yeah.
uh,
But
After supporting my with like in parallel with supporting my husband,
yeah.
empowering other people to do the same.
Okay. That's what I was getting at there. Um, because I know that you've already shared with other people
Yeah.
to get TechnoTutor,
Yeah.
right? Why? Why do you think other people should have it?
because whatever you want to do, it 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 up levels your ability to do it, and it
Mm,
accelerates things. Like you have like realizations and cognitions a lot more frequently than you would have with a like classical process of change, like
yeah,
without using TechnoTutor. And also, especially if you apply the principles in you're being self-honest
yeah,
and
and
you do self-forgiveness to clean up all the shit
yeah,
that's within you that's blocking you from doing the best thing for you and your family in the world.
yeah, that's awesome. So when you say it upgrades your ability to do things and accelerates whatever you're doing, right? Do you feel like your life has been upgraded and accelerated?
Yeah, because otherwise I would still I would probably have changed the supervisor or changed the PhD topic. Like at an early stage, like after 2 months of using TechnoTutor and like applying the principles or the tools on my situation regarding the PhD, I was considering uh, changing my PhD topic, for example, and studying educational sciences
Mm,
and comparing the best methods that there are in the world, like uh, whatever, like Norway educational system, Singapore educational system, Montessori,
yeah,
and do research on that, do a state of the art paper, and then continue with the research. But then I realized that it's still just my ego driving me. I want to be the one discovering this.
yeah,
Whereas there are other people who have done this work previously and have came up with this tool that works practically,
yeah,
and I can go from there and build on it instead of wanting to do it all over by myself and having a degree, etc.
yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
And
Um,
also, like for my communication with my husband has really well, like improved really well because we were going through some patterns that were just repeating, and I was more going into my emotional reaction and like the victim mode instead of facing myself and like in taking responsibility.
oh, tell me about
So
that. Tell me about that because like I've seen for myself with my own partner, like we will have a pattern occur. And then for us, what we do is as soon as we recognize the pattern, then we put it into TechnoTutor and we talk about it. And so we'll have like for us, we'll have a miscommunication. That's usually what starts it is we're not communicating on the same level. And then uh we'll both get at a point where we're irritated or annoyed with each other. And we're like, we can see that we're not like it's really clear we're not communicating well or effectively. And so we'll start saying some things like, what are you talking about? Like, throwing names out and stuff like that. And then um, we recognize like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do TechnoTutor, you go do TechnoTutor. And then we come back and then we talk. And it's like it completely changes the situation. But what's it been like in your experience?
in my experience, I've been the one using TechnoTutor so far. My husband is getting very soon on board.
Okay.
Now he's willing to start using it. Um, but like I was having a really hard time understanding him in some areas that bring us problems or conflict. So especially if I get um, a big emotional reaction and want to stay in my victim mode, it makes it really hard for me to understand him or to. So whenever we have a specific conflict about about a pattern that is repeating, I just wait for my emotions to, I just do something to feel better and discuss. And if we make up, then we kind of consider that it's resolved. But if the same pattern repeats, we go to the same point. We have not moved forward because
Yeah.
none of us has understood the other person
Yeah.
or where they need to take more responsibility.
Yeah.
But we don't have that honest conversation, and neither of us is self-honest. So we don't unblock the situation.
Yeah.
We put the blame on stuff that is not true,
Yeah.
and we carry on the same behaviors and patterns, etc. And if I change, I could change just a little bit, and then after some time I would lose that consistency. And I would, for example, say, oh, since he's not taking full responsibility of this, then I won't continue doing that. Or I would be like a really super people pleaser for a specific time and then get really tired of it.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. So like, so either you take on the, oh, well, he's not going to take responsibility for it, I'm not going to do it either. Or you go into like the, like, okay, I'll get it done. Yeah. Whatever you want. That kind of like people pleaser.
Yeah, I'll change everything that you want. Whatever you ask me to change, I'll change it, even if it's not best to change.
Mm. And you can see that it's not best, but you're still going to do it anyway because he asked for it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And within that, I could lie to myself and tell myself, it doesn't hurt to change this. I'll do it for him to please him. But
Mm.
it's not like it's like wherever I need to have a honest conversation, I would avoid it by changing something within me, which is good in some specific situations, in some specific areas where I really need to change.
Yeah.
Like for example, taking on more responsibility at home, feeling feeling like knowing that I'm capable of managing my home, for example, the
Yeah.
chores, having more patience, etc. So all of this, it was beneficial to change it. But there are other things that are not best to change in the ways he would suggest.
Yeah.
And I've been like wanting to change it just to please him. And then I get pissed because he doesn't do something else. And
Right. So
I stop doing that.
yeah. So it becomes like a this for that kind of
So now
thing.
I kind of have the discernment to know what needs really to change. And then I do it for myself, not from a people pleasing point.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's not because it's not easy that I just say, oh, so like I blame it on him, or say, no, I don't need to change that. No, I have the tools to know how to change it.
Yeah. That's cool. So then you changing that, or actually now what's really changed is the way that you communicate with him, right? Because now more clearly what's worth changing, what's not worth changing, and you're willing to say, I'm not going to change the things that are not best to change.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
That's
also what
yeah.
changed is my understanding of his own like his own frustrations or problems or whatever he's going through
Yeah.
and what brings up conflict.
Yeah.
I have the ability now to understand that more and to be more supportive instead of
Mm,
going into just the emotional reactions
yeah.
and like dealing with my own, like bringing up my own stuff also on the table when he has
Yeah.
something to deal with.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I was just reading this comment by someone within the Self-Perfected group, and he was saying how he was noticing that for him, what's changed is his conversations with people, where he's more actually interested in what they're saying because he can understand more and he asks for more clarification. And on top of that, um, like seeing more about yourself, because not only when you start using TechnoTutor and doing this process, not only do you focus on whatever it is that you're trying to learn or whatever, but it also has like kind of like what you were saying with your son. You started with the letters and now he's saying words that and picking them up easily. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with using TechnoTutor. You start and you focus on this other thing, and then you have a better understanding of why you're having the thoughts that you're having and why other people are having the thoughts that they're having, and you can see more clearly. And it almost seems unrelated, but it's just because you're improving your ability to understand and accelerating that, like you said earlier, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also because you have cleaned yourself from stuff that is like making the vision blurry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's a really good way to say it, because we say building your vocabulary, you're defining the words within yourself. And so it's like having a lens, right? When you're watching a movie or taking a photo or recording something and it's blurry, then you don't have a clear picture. But then when it's defined, then it's really clear and you enjoy it more. You like if you're, I don't know if you wear glasses, but I do. And when they're blurry, it's like, uh, you know, I see things fine enough, but when I clean them, it's like, oh wow, this is amazing. Like what a beautiful world. You know,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's a really good way to put that. Um, I think from here, that's pretty much like you hit on everything. You hit on why you're doing things differently and what would be different. And also you also hit on the emotional stability and how things have changed for you, and also for your own children, and then why you want to bring this to other people, um, and what benefit you see for them as well. I think, yeah, let's wrap it up. Do you have unless you have anything more that you wanted to share that I didn't ask you about specifically yet? Was there anything else?
Um, I would like you to share your perspective on like how you think it's possible to have an impact on the world regarding this.
Sure.
Because as I said, for example, in the beginning, I was kind of not sure if I could be able myself to homeschool my kid.
Yeah.
But now I have that cleared. I have 100% clarity that I can do that.
Yeah.
And I can empower a bunch of people to do that. But it's still not clear to me how to empower a whole lot of people to do that.
Oh, okay, great, cool. So in the same way, like that, you've already started sharing this with your friends, right? And your friends, uh, at least the one that I've spoken with, uh, very serious. They are very serious, and they are taking this on just like you, right? And that means whenever I see that, when they're consistent, then they have a huge shift, a huge change very quickly. It doesn't take very long, right? And they're going to get, uh, I would say, a similar result to what you got. I'm saying similar because I don't know, what things are going to change in their life, but I know it's going to be a big shift. I know it's going to be a big impact, right? And when that happens, like you were saying as well, other people around you start to notice, right? You were talking about how you were doing this for yourself, and your husband was not yet doing this. He was not yet using TechnoTutor, and still your relationship with him has changed. It's I'm assuming changed for the better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the same way, I did this for myself, and my relationship with my mother changed drastically, so drastically, where I went from not liking my mother, like hating my mother and avoiding her, to now we talk pretty regularly. In fact, she's part of a lot of the groups. She's part of Self-Perfected. I love that she's there. I love that she's growing with me. And we hang out like we were at the gin event 2 months ago, or a month and a half ago. And now we're going to Minneapolis together to be at Mitch and Jess's wedding, right? Meaning I went from like, I couldn't stand even talking on the phone with her. And sometimes, I'm just like, I still am like, all right, we're talking too much, on the phone. But when we hang out, I actually enjoy her company. Like it occurred to me just one day out of the blue, we went to go take photos together. And I was thinking the whole time before we went to take the photos that like, I don't really like taking photos. So I don't really know why we're doing this, or I don't want to spend that much time doing that. But then while we were taking the photos, we had so much fun. And I know it's not because we were taking photos. I don't like photos, right? But it was because I actually genuinely enjoy my mother's company now, because again, I did this process for myself, and then she started doing it too. And then now we were on the same page where we could actually effectively communicate with one another and talk to each other instead of the ideas that we have of each other, right? So what I mean to say with that is the people around you notice when you're different. And if they're being self-honest, and if you're like how you are right now, sharing with other people, this is what I'm doing, they're going to pick it up. Not everybody, but those who actually want their lives to be better. Because we were talking about this before we started recording, right? A lot of people will keep a okay life and give up a good life because, well, they think that what they have is just, it's fine, right? But they miss out on how much better it can be, right?
Yeah, and they miss out on, like, if it's fine, there will necessarily be a point when it gets, they can't keep it like this.
Right. Right, exactly. And that's also especially what we're seeing today. Just watch, it's going to get people are going to want what we have more and more and more because of the way that society is going right now. There's a big push to I guess sort of diminish everything that makes a family strong, everything that we actually really do value when we have them, like a mother and a father in a home, and a home environment that's not dysfunctional, where you can be raised by your mother and educated by your parents and actually knowing things. All that is being diminished right now in our world society, right? um, Making decisions for yourself, all of that, right? But when we have those things, we actually feel way better. Just think of it from a child's perspective. From a child's perspective, when you have the ability to make decisions for yourself, like you feel like I'm a grown-up. I feel great. Like, yeah, I get to do this. I get to decide. You're making, but when somebody else tells you what to do constantly, and you don't get to make the decision, you feel like, why am I here? Like, what am I, an object? Like, is my life meant for somebody else to control? Like, you're not in control of your life. It feels disempowering. It feels very like not just weak, but it feels like you're insignificant, right? And so many people today don't realize that they are having this internal insignificance that they have not defined. They haven't seen it clearly yet. But when you start doing this process and you start getting that back, you can look back and see really clearly, like, oh, now I have value, not because somebody told you have value, but because you're doing the things that you see, like, I am valuable. Like, I can really clearly see it. And like having that emotional stability of being valuable, of knowing that you're valuable, then you can do even more, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So all that to say, as you are walking your own process and just sharing with other people, here's what I'm doing. Other people can see you really clearly. This is what happened with me and Cameron, for instance. I just watched Cameron on Facebook. We had met once or twice in Florida for a gin event, right? And we hung out for a day, exchanged Facebook information, exchanged phone numbers, and then I just watched him over the years, and I saw his life progressing. And I could see, okay, he's doing something that's making his life better, and my life is staying the same. And I want to know what he's doing. And he kept sharing what he was doing. And I said, okay, maybe this is what I should do. Let me talk to him about TechnoTutor. And we talked, and I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And then now I'm seeing my life get better and better and better over the years. And other people that I talk to, they're like, hey, I've been watching your life get better. I've been seeing you become more stable. Wow, talking to you, you are a different person. You're more confident. Like, I love it. How do I get that? And I just tell them, look, this is what I did. I just use TechnoTutor, right? And so the more and more we do that, the more that means, you're in computer science. So I'm assuming you've got some math background, right? But it grows exponentially. With each new node, you build a much stronger network, and each node reaches out and creates another node. And so it grows exponentially like that. That's where I see the biggest impact. And it starts with people just like you. That's why we're talking today, because I know that the more mothers, really, the more parents that take on the responsibility of just becoming emotionally stable within themselves, like you did. That's exactly what you did. Then it allows for the opportunity for you to see, oh, well, here's where I can be more honest in my relationship with my child, or with my professor, or my husband, or whoever you're talking to. You're not just more honest about it in your head. Oh, you said this one thing that was so good earlier. You said, it's like you were looking through the positive parenting information, and you knew the information, but it was different than actually doing it. Like, you didn't see like where you had the opportunity to really do it, right?
Yeah, or it's hard to do sometimes.
Right.
You have so much coming up.
Right, exactly. And so that's that difference between, quote, knowing something, like you have the knowledge of it, versus actually being able to implement it effectively, being masterful at it, or doing it unconsciously.
Yeah.
Right? Can you see like what we're doing with TechnoTutor? It's not just about knowing things, because you can know everything. You turn on the news, you can know all this stuff, and it means nothing, right? Can you see how what we're doing like is beyond knowing? It's actually implementing.
Yeah, and especially like it makes it easier to do. Like it becomes you easily become unconscious competent and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in long-term situations and short-term situations as well. For example, specifically with teaching my baby how to swim. Like once he he almost drowned in the water in the swimming pool,
Oh,
and my dad grabbed him quickly, etc. And my mom had like was like she didn't sleep that night. She had a big emotional reaction,
yeah.
fear. Then I was kind of stable, but I wasn't myself feeling safe in the swimming pool, even if I knew how to swim.
Mm,
I was I was still always wanting to have something next to me to grab on if I get tired, or if I don't know what to do instead of the like inside of the swimming pool.
yeah.
For example, if I panic, then my muscles will tense and I could drown.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I had that fear when I was teaching my kid how to swim. I was like grabbing his feet and doing this, but I was not feeling that the swimming pool is safe.
Yeah.
So when I did that when I processed that with TechnoTutor, I was able to feel myself safe and that I can swim and I don't need to grab on something. I knew the technicality of it. I knew how to swim. I knew movements,
Yes.
etc. I didn't have that emotional stability, so I was projecting that fear to my kid, even if
Yeah.
I was saying the right things or he was feeling it.
Yeah.
After doing that, and I've watched some videos on um, baby swimmers, etc., and I've asked the question on the parenting group.
Yeah.
Uh, and I started like doing the same things with my baby. Then he was feeling like really, he was way less tense in the swimming pool, and he started doing those movements really intuitively.
Yeah.
And after that, my two sisters-in-law have started swimming as well. Like I told them that it was just me. I had still the fear within me,
Yeah.
and I was like projecting it like my baby was feeling it, and it's just the fear. If you get rid of the fear, then your muscles soften, and they started swimming for the first time. It's been like a long while that we have that swimming pool in my
Yeah.
parents, but they never swim.
Oh, wow. Wow.
We
That's
started
cool.
swimming and we started playing games like grabbing things from the bottom of the swimming pool and doing like games. It was super cool to watch.
Yeah. That is super cool. So, okay, that's exactly what I was saying just now, right? You change and then the people around you change,
Yeah.
right? That's like the importance that I see with this is that when one of us changes, we have the opportunity to change our community, right? And by changing all of our individual communities and being a community ourselves, we communicate, not all the time, but we communicate enough where, hey, that if you needed my support, you can always reach out, right?
Mm.
And so in doing that, we can create that kind of atmosphere where people actually recognize and realize like, oh, there are people in my environment who are supportive for me, who will support me, and we can support each other in our own individual communities across the world. Because I'm in the States right now, you're in France, you are in Morocco, right? um, by doing that all across the world, then that's how we spread, how we grow, and how, you know then our communities are amazing. We change the world in that way. So it's not just, you know having an academic education, and this, but it's also about becoming emotionally stable throughout the world. So that's how I would answer that question that you asked. Oh. He's like, okay, I'm ready for you to be done. Hey. Hi.
Bye. Just woke up.
Oh, nice. Nice. Awesome. Well, that's as good as a cue as any. That it's time to wrap up, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Soumaya. We're gonna put this in the parenting group, and we'll talk later.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was super fun.